Buenas amigos, ¿qué tal? Estamos de regreso and welcome to a new episode of Luxor Hospitality Talks. I'm so excited every time I'm shooting these videos because it's the moment for me to literally reflectionate and think about the things I've done so far, and especially in this super busy life that I'm building up, like few days of other news and projects coming soon. This is really a moment just for myself. It's not that much, just a few minutes, but I hope that I could help as many people as possible, or at least I can entertain you. So, welcome. We finally arrived to my university period, so my college period. I was finally enrolled to Bocconi. I had to begin my first year. I had to begin looking for houses, looking for places to live, because I was living nearby, so I was really lucky. But can you imagine every morning taking a really, I don't want to say bad words, but really a bad train in bad timings. Bad in the sense that never departs on time, really dirty, weird people in it. So it wasn't really my kettle of fish. Then rushing to the metro, and again, metro is something really nice in Milan, as long as like the criminality is not that much compared to now that, for example, there are a lot of criminality, but back then it was a really pleasure to like just moving around with the metro in a few minutes. But then rushing to classes, do everything that I was supposed to do, study, and then during the rush hour again, going back to the metro, going back to the train, and then eventually car or Vespa at the Bergamo station and go back home. So these would have been super duper tiring, and it wasn't something I wanted for my experience. So I began applying for dorms in Milan, and the funny thing and the good thing about Bocconi, they have lots of really nice dorms from literally in the university, so not even 1 minute away from the classes, to others up to 20 minutes by public transport. That one wasn't the nicest one, but in between these two, there were a lot of possibilities, and I was lucky enough to find a room into Isonzo dorm. It was around 10 minutes by foot, even less, from Bocconi. You just have to pass a park, and then would have been just the Viale, so the big road just behind of it. It was divided in two parts, like the tower, and the tower was nice to remind me because just behind it there was Fondazione Prada, which is a museum and a really nice terrace. If you're in Milan and you never tried it, go for it. Also, a really nice appetizer is served, and the Ferrari. So it was almost as tall as Fondazione Prada, so you couldn't miss it. And then there was also the shorter part, the one I was into. It was called Ghetto, so I know it's a bad thing, no racism obviously, but it was a different vibe. But still, there were apartments for just one person, or 2 bedrooms with a shared bathroom, or 4 bedrooms with 2 bathrooms. Especially in the double, there were only female, male. Otherwise, in the 4 one could be 2 and 2. Obviously, you couldn't share with someone of the other sex, but you could be with other sexes into the apartment. And then there were a kitchen per floor in which you could cook whatever you wanted. All utensils were from you, so it wasn't like nothing provided. But also there was at the ground floor a really nice living room with a TV and like lots of things going on there, some table games. So really an experience like an American college. And this was for my first year. And the only thing I just want to underline, if you are foreign, if you are from southern Italy or far from Milan, you can apply, you get a room. So that is really easy. If you are like me from Bergamo, just 1 hour, you're considered like limitrof in Italian, like really next to. So you can only apply at the very end of the application, so usually in September. So for example, the first year I was lucky enough to be in a dorm. The year after I couldn't, because I had to apply at the really last minute, and I didn't want to do neither 1 month back and forth. So I applied for another dorm this time wasn't Bocconi dorm. It was more like student dorm. It was for Bocconi, Cattolica, Ulm, Politecnico, Statale, whatever you want. Obviously, the nearest by were Bocconi and Cattolica and Ulm, kinda. For Statale and Politecnico, they were a little bit like outside Milan, but still you could have been there, no props, like as long as you were a student. And it was a really nice environment. Maybe it was more Italian than in the dorm. So the family that you could build up was my like strong, you could do things together, you could cook together, because there was just one kitchen for all the dorm, around 80 rooms. So they were like different location, like you could literally be 10 or 11 of us cooking at the same time, cooking for everyone or cooking for one alone. So it was a literally completely experience. The only other different was that in the dorm you could do whatever you wanted, you could invite whoever you wanted as long as they had an ID and they left it with the guardian at the entrance, the doorman, and yeah, they could leave whenever time they wanted, as long as they have their ID or the school ID. In the other dorm, all the visits would have been just at the ground floor. So you couldn't invite anyone to your room and you had to leave before midnight. So that it was a little bit different, but also was the conception of the place, because it was really still a Catholic place or something. So they wanted to establish to still remain with the credential and with the beliefs of such. So having thought about the dorms, I started my first year in Bocconi. I remember my first day, I wasn't yet in Milan. So where was my dad, who brought me to the metro next by his work in Milan. And I took Metro Verde, so the green line, to Centrale. And then from Centrale, taking the yellow line to, I don't remember which station I went. I think it was Crocetta for sure, because Crocetta is the nearest one. It's not that near Bocconi, but still is the nearest one. And then I did like 15 minutes walking. Luckily, I also found something in between. So always in that area of Crocetta, there was another kind of residential building. So I could be a few weeks there before moving to Isonzo. And lesson start is, my international experience started in Bocconi. And I couldn't be any happier. I was feeling like the little girl from the province that finally had the possibility of being in Milan, of being in a cosmopolitan city and meeting people from any angle of the world. Obviously, my feeling was bad. It was really cosmopolitan. Indeed, it is. But obviously, there are other realities that are more. But still, I think that in Italy, it's the place where you can find as many nationalities as you want. And that is also the reason why I chose Bocconi. Bocconi is well known everywhere. It's in the top 10 for bachelor. It's in the top 3 for masters. It's like lots of prizes every time, everywhere. But this is a funny thing. In these days, I was like doing check-ins to young people. And we were talking about university, just a way to interact, a way to be remembered. I love talking to people, it's not a big deal for me. I just make fun of my accent that is not Italian. You can definitely relate that. And I thought it was more common here in the US knowing Bocconi. Only students that study business know Bocconi from Europe. Otherwise, they do not. Or they also, some people know because there are lots of universities that are partners with Bocconi. For example, the one in San Diego, the one in LA. So I was lucky enough that these people were from LA, so they knew it. But still, if you want to have something like this, Bocconi is the right choice. And then what I did, I started my career path, my studies into Bachelor in Economics and Management for Arts, Culture and Communication in English. I didn't display all the details to you, but so I love math. I love finance, but I was struggling with a professor of mine in high school. So that is the reason why I didn't want to pursue my career in finance, something that sometimes I regret because I really enjoy my period in finance. So I applied, my first option would have been BMAC, the one I did, and I entered that. So that means that my test was quite good. And I started, and I immediately understood that wasn't the thing I wanted to do. All my friends in the class were like in design, theaters, museums, arts. I love arts. It's not that, but I cannot see myself in there. And I was thinking about changing program, but the differences between doing a BF, so Bachelor in International Economics and Finance, were so different the exams than the one in BAMAC. So I would have been like spending all summer in taking over all these exams, and it wasn't really what I wanted to do for my summer, because I still wanted to like enjoy the work, to try to begin thinking about internships, so I didn't want to just like study over time. And at the end of the day, I don't regret that, because I know that arts would never be my subject, as long as I love it and I love going to museum. But I work in hospitality, I work in hotels, and something super important in hospitality is having communication skills, knowing about the culture, and knowing, you know, about the real identity of a territory. So it was like, maybe it's not what I always wanted to do, but it's in line for what I would love to do. So I said, okay, maybe, yeah, there is not a big deal for me to study more finance. I can be in finance clubs. In that I entered a fintech society. I was in other association that helped startups to, like students and startups to go together and come up with excellent ideas to solve problems. So I was always in this like environment of innovation and on finance, but I kept to my original path because I knew that it was like the nearest to the one I wanted to pursue in the future. And at the end of the day, the basis is the same. I had math, I had economics, I had macro, I had micro, I had finance, I had corporate finance, I had all these subjects. Same level as BM, as BF, so the one in English, because there is always a big difference between the subjects in Italian and the subjects in English, because in Italian you usually study much more, like the books are like this, the one in like international courses are like this, but still the concepts are really the same. The only difference were some subjects. For example, I studied aesthetics the first year, but actually opened me a complete word. So I don't regret that neither. I had to study some modules for arts. I had to study something so more related to communication, or for example, marketing was for entertainment industry instead of just like marketing in general. But yeah, if you want specific tips about either the life in Bocconi or tips about the classes, if I still remember something, if you just want like to interact with me to understand better my life there, just write me in the comments. And then obviously COVID arrived and I couldn't go to my beloved Milan for a little bit. That was the most sad period, especially you know, my experience in Bocconi. So moreover my like social part, my personal life was really funny. So the one who knows me knows that all that period was marked by a guy, and I officially said bye to him a few weeks ago, because I mean, I know that the period is over, a period I loved, a period that still I don't regret, a period that I had lots of, like I admire still that period, because it was the moment in which I understood that I was capable enough to do whatever I wanted, to start doing things on my own, to start LinkedIn, to start whatever. But I know that it was finished. And every time that something was happening also on the outside, like during COVID, I was like breaking up. It was like not talking to that person anymore. So that meant like the whole situation much harder for me to passing through. But eventually I graduated in July because I was supposed to go to Glion in September. I had my graduation party. All my beloved people were there. So still also these people that came inside and out of my life. And I don't know, you will never watch this video, I'm so sure. I know that somehow like our paths are divided, but still I don't regret anything of what I did, and I still think that you are one of the best person out there, and that you made me discover myself, honestly. So I don't want you to like thank you for that, like thank you for like teaching me things. I just want to know that you believe in me before I did. And then now that I believe in myself, I just like want to thank you for letting me see also this part of the story, you know. And what else? Another big part in Bocconi is also all the sports. Now there is a cheerleading club that is really nice. There is a really nice gym together with Virgin Active, which is one of the best gyms in Milan. A really nice swimming pool as well in the gym. So literally it's like being in the US, but with Italian flavor. With Milan Fashion Week, I remember lots of time there were, sorry, I will say the name wrong, so we'll just say the surname. Winter, the director of the magazine, coming to school. Models like Gigi Hadid or whatever, like literally catwalkings in the Aula Magna. So everything was literally amazing. It was like living in a dream, just 2 steps away from Duomo, just in Brera with all the vibes. So I think Milano is really the place to be, and Bocconi has the best location, just a few miles, a few kilometers from Duomo. You can literally go there in 20 minutes walking, and you can enjoy an aperitivo in the terrace or in a luxury hotel. There is Bulgari. I mean, there are just a couple of Bulgari in the world, and we have one of those. Others are opening up, so literally Milan is the place to be, and I'm so glad that I did my university there. I know that I didn't go in detail too much about the things I did, but I think I wanted just to tell you my experience back there and the things I did, the things I didn't do, like the life besides the university, the association, and the sports. But if you have any particular questions about that, or if you need help for either the admission test or for the, I forgot the name, I'm not the pro in this, but I can you introduce to people who actually did. So if you are in Bocconi, you want to pursue your master there, you just apply with your grades, and that is easy. Otherwise, if you want to study in another university, you should undertake an exam. And if someone from another university wants to study in Bocconi, again, has to undertake an exam. And the grades to enter from Bocconi are really high, so compared to the external, but still there are lots of courses from the masters. So for example, there is the management in Italian and English, finance in Italian and English, amministrazione, finanza e controllo, I think it's just in Italian, clearly for the amministrazione d'impresa. Literally there are a lot, and depending on your grade, you will absolutely undertake one of these courses. So that's it. I would love to enjoy my Bocconi experience more. Honestly, I love the time, and I also think that it was too little compared to the actual time it was, because I just lived there for 1 year, you know, I just felt the atmosphere for 1 year. So if you're still there, just enjoy it, because then you're gonna miss it so much. And also all the study that you did, all the nights that you couldn't go to sleep, all the pages, all the maybe the partials with a shitty grade that you want to take again in a general. I mean, enjoy that time. You're gonna miss it. Also, if you study in abroad, you will feel, I mean, I was studying a lot, but I was feeling I was making things mine, something that usually abroad you don't do. So really, it was a pleasure doing these videos. In the next one, I will come out with the reason why I chose Glion and why you should choose Glion if you have my same interest in life. And stay tuned for mucho más here on Luxury Hospitality Talks.